tell you.
Okay.
I'm
4
gonna
o'clock
pass
in the
it
morning.
on to Sarah to get us going.
Yeah, and you
Yeah,
gotta
good
get out.
morning, everyone. Charlie sends his regrets that he can't be here, but I am trying to be a solid substitute, so here we go. I don't really have any citywide updates or key initiatives in regards to finance. I do just want to talk about some housekeeping things. Obviously, we won't be meeting next Thursday. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, you and your families. I hope you enjoy the day. With the new council and a new chair, I think it is an appropriate time to discuss the organization of this meeting and the cadence of the meeting. We have added the workshop for the first Monday of the month. We typically have been meeting every week with finance, but we would like to consider meeting every other week. So we would have the first Monday of the month be a council workshop. The second Thursday of the month, our finance committee. The third Monday or Tuesday of the month, depending on how it falls, is the council meeting. And then the fourth Thursday would be the finance committee again. We also would like to discuss or let folks know that we're gonna be really focusing in on the finance committee on 3 major areas: the audit and audit findings and where we're at with the audit findings, and the preparation for the new audit. Audit cycles are kind of brutal in that, like, you just come out of one and then you're right back in another one. So, and while that falls on finance and in finance responsibility, it really is a citywide effort, the audit, and everything kind of just, all the audit findings are kind of landed in finance, but a lot of the findings impacts other departments and their operations and how, so it is a really big undertaking. I'm learning a lot about this right now, just working with Sue Lassard and the finance team. So that's one area we really want to spend time focusing on. The budget, we're getting ready to ramp up the budget season, not only what we're doing in preparations for the budget, but also where we're at with our current budget that we're in, which we talk about. The school wants to come in more frequently to talk about their budget and where they're at. So I know that I think Amy's coming to the next meeting to give a budget update for her budget. And then finally, the reconciliations and where we're at with reconciling our accounts. So we really want to focus in and fill the hour with updates. And I think it would be more productive for staff and probably council as well, to have that hour be full every 2 weeks with those, and obviously other things that come up, band issues, bond issues. And I think another area that we might want to touch on are grants. As we saw, we had to talk about, I think, the drinking water grant at this meeting one time. So we're really trying to get a better handle on our grants and how we approach it and where we stand with grants. So that might be something else that we intentionally bring up a couple times. I don't know if the finance team, who knows way more about these things than I, have any things to say or update.
Before we go any,
I have nothing additional to add to that. I think that pretty much covers it, and I think definitely open to discuss with Nancy and the team and see what's best moving forward.
Steve, did you want to?
so, one thing that I have been talking about is having a finance meeting with no warrant. That's like going to dinner with no food. And there's been discussions about when to move that. I'm in total disagreement of making it every other week. I think it needs to be every week, but that's not for me to decide, it's for me to input. But having a finance meeting with no warrant makes 0 sense to me, and it's never made sense to me. And when I brought this up before, Nate, you had mentioned, I had mentioned moving it to Mondays to make it easier on you, but then you mentioned doing it a little different or what have you after the new council was seated. So I'm in disagreement with what I just heard. However, having said that, I think no matter where you land, you need to have a warrant at the finance meeting. How you do that is up to this group, but There's no value, and I'm not criticizing anybody, I've said this before. When you went to a 4-day work week, that put the Friday meeting in harm's way. And so no matter what you land on, I would prefer Mondays. That would give you the chance to do Thursdays, like you're doing now. And then whenever this committee meets, then you don't have to change your schedule. This committee has to change its schedule. So there's a warrant at the finance meeting.
Other thoughts from committee members?
I kind of agree. We need to see some of the warrants and that way we can help with it and make sure everything's done. You know, it's and every week we should have a finance meeting because it's not really running smooth from my perspective, and then the constituents that elected me. Okay?
And just so you're aware, currently the warrant is sent out electronically, so you're able to still see that every week, which right now we're requesting digital signatures. And I'm not opposed to the Monday meetings, actually I think that would be better, and have the warrant available on Mondays. It's just more of having the meetings be more poignant, like Sarah mentioned, focus on the big level things. And that's why we discussed, with the addition of the council workshops, looking at possibly doing it on twice a month rather than every other week. Now I know, every week. Now I know that causes issues when it comes to the warrant, having every other week off, which is areas that's why we're looking to discuss. But, going back to what I previously said, the warrant would still be available for everyone to see every week as it is right now. For those that are currently on the committee, they're aware that they get those, they're able to see those before they sign anything. So you're still able to see that and make comments, obviously at the next finance committee meeting or via email if you have anything that comes up that looks off to you.
If I could respond to that. The way it's being done now is you're having a finance meeting on Thursday and we're getting a warrant electronically, which is fine, on Thursday night. And then when you have questions, you either got to sign it so you can do your thing Monday morning, or you hold up on it to ask a question Monday morning, and you're getting emails saying you didn't sign the warrant. Well, if you had the warrant, you can do it electronically. If you had it laying right here with all those invoices like it used to be, you can come in here at a finance meeting and you can thumb through what you want to see before you sign it, because there's always a question. And doing it the way you're doing it is great. Because Thursday evening, you can look through that and develop your questions and look through the invoices accordingly.
So would it work for staff and for members of the committee to move this to Monday morning? And then we could add to the agenda, just, are there any questions on the warrant? I see the warrant as an administrative, it's confirmation that staff is doing their job. Rarely do I go through and look at every invoice because we've got staff to do that. But if there are those who do, then if we move this to Monday morning, that would address your issue if it works for folks. And then we can talk about every other week versus every week, but that's one piece. And then adding, I think, to the warrant, are there any questions on the warrant? Could be the first question on the agenda. And then we'd sign off in time for you all to work. That's 8 a.m. Monday.
I don't see any issue from a staff perspective, meeting 8 AM Monday.
Okay, what about for the committee?
I have an Arbor Commission one Monday morning, 8 AM. That would take up this room unless we switched it up, but other than that.
Do you know the
Okay.
cadence of that,
I was
like
gonna
which
say,
Monday it
First
is?
Monday, the first Monday of the month, 8:15 to 10:15 AM.
So that would be resolved if we did go to an every other week schedule,
Right.
because our first Monday would be the workshop.
And I would say I support the every other week and the focus on the big issues that truly are finance, that we can then bring to the committee when you're talking about, again, the audit, the budget, where we are, you know, we're looking at it now with the quarterly about where are we compared to budget, what are the reasons we're above or below, what are we anticipating? Sometimes it's ahead of, sometimes it's additional cost. And then reconciliation of accounts, those are truly, I think, the higher level finance where the council expertise and opinion does come in handy. And I guess, and looking at my notes from this, I think, again, having better use of staff time with these being alternate weeks, and then the question about the warrant on those off weeks, how do we manage to check in if there are questions on the warrant each week?
I think maybe finance, Nate and or Ashley could have just kind of an open office hour, like that Monday morning on the off weeks. If there are questions, folks could call in, write in, come in and ask. I don't see that being an issue. They could like hold space for that.
And I think if there's a way, any questions that are brought up and answered, shared with the rest of the committee? If, you know, if Nate did a summary email on here, the questions that were raised, here's the resolution, then we all have the same information when it comes to signing off on the warrant.
Yep.
To be clear, are you talking about doing a warrant every week and having a meeting every other week?
Yep.
Yeah.
And the warrant you need every week because you pay bills every week, right? I mean, that is what the,
Yeah.
to explain
The
to,
bills get paid every week, and like Sarah said, I mean, we could, this is why we're having a discussion, I'm not set on stone on anything. If we want to do the first and third Monday of the month, where it's just a meeting to sign the warrant, and like I said, whether it's we call it an open office hour, we call it, we can gather in the county chambers and sign the warrant, but I think it's more of just not having a formal finance committee meeting every week. If that's what you're wanting, then we could do something like that as well.
If I could speak on that again, you have 2 new members here of this finance department, and you're not giving them a chance to learn this role that they have signed up for. This is not a fair transaction to Mr. and Mrs. Ellsworth. There needs to be a meeting every week. You can decide how short it is. There needs to be a meeting with that warrant laying right there with all those receipts. You can sign electronically, you can do all of it. But you got 2 brand-new members and you're throwing them a curveball right up front.
Well, we're just having a discussion, actually.
We
That's
are,
what we're
and I'm
trying to
discussing
do.
it.
Yeah, I don't think it's an intent, it's not intended to be a curveball or anything like
It's a
that.
curveball.
We are hoping to have an open discussion with all the members of the committee to get feedback on what they would like to see happen for the cadence and organization of the meeting. That's our intent.
And if we still have the open office hours, the 2 new members still are allowed to come in and view the warrant. It's not, we're not taking the warrant and saying, absolutely now you can't come in and view it. You can still view the warrant, you can go through it page by page. We're just offering a different way of having this meeting so it's less time spent
And more production.
in more, yeah.
yeah, efficient use of the
Correct.
city's resources. And when you're saying the warrant, it's the same thing when we get it digitally.
Yes.
It's whether
The
it's
only
printed
thing
out.
difference when it's printed out and in a stack is you see every invoice that is on the list of invoices that we send you electronically. So you see every invoice number, every amount, description, and the vendor number on the list that we send electronically. The only difference that you see in person with a stack of papers in front of you is you see every invoice that is on that list, every physical invoice that is sent to us by the vendor. That's the only difference that you see.
So I'm seeing 3 different issues. One is pivoting the meeting to Monday morning so that we have the warrant before we sign off for, although we're allowed days to sign off on the warrant, I've always gotten it and then I just review it and do the signature over the weekend. That's one move, weekly or bi-weekly, and then the agenda focus. For me, the priority is the agenda focus. Let's get the meetings on truly the finance portion of this. And we can say this was the opening discussion and continue to maybe get thoughts from other council members as we move forward. Another feedback.
Yeah, so the most immediate change will be shifting to Mondays. And
Did
the
I-
agenda.
Does that work for everybody, and does that mean next week?
That would, I don't know, I'd ask
And what is our
finance.
and
I mean,
we don't
because
have-
that's 3 days.
We don't have a warrant next week at all anyways,
Okay.
so I think it would be December 1st would be our first switch.
I think, and that feels like a right.
Especially because we
time
don't
to
have
do
a
it.
warrant, and there won't be a warrant to sign on December 1st either, because we don't have a warrant to process next week due to Thanksgiving. So we won't have anything as in this Monday, because we're meeting today. And then next Monday, December 1st, we can meet, but there still won't be a warrant, because we're not processing a warrant next week, which we process a warrant every week on Thursday. So Leia's in the office right now, working on the warrant process and processing the warrant. So,
Is everyone comfortable with that? That just is gonna take a little bit to make this shift logistically and with the holiday.
I was gonna say, well, and moving forward, Mondays, I don't know how many Mondays are holidays, but there's quite a few.
Several.
So if we, again, how that plays out if we go bi-weekly would be a conversation. If we end up losing 5 of 12 or something. But, and then the other piece again is the agenda focus. I like the idea of having time for those components.
And that shift we can make immediately. That's not an
Yeah.
issue.
Is the timing of this meeting in the charter or any other official?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Do folks have thoughts on that, the time of day of the meeting?
8 actually works for me before work meetings start.
Anyone else? Steve, does it work for you?
When I first got here 4 years ago, it was 7 o'clock
AM?
AM,
Okay.
not 8 o'clock. And it was determined at the time that 8 o'clock worked better for the people on the committee at that time. And Patrick was relatively, it was his first year, and 8 o'clock worked for him, and it didn't matter to me. And I like 8 o'clock, I think it's great. I think it's a wonderful time, but I'm very flexible on the time.
I think from a staff perspective, 8's fine. It's no issue for us. The only conflict would be the Arbor Commission that one day, that one Monday.
So moving forward, we have, as of December 1st, we're moving to Mondays, 8 AM, still conversation about frequency, because there isn't agreement, and then the agenda focused on those clear finance.
And at that first meeting, we
Issues.
will, we'll look at the calendar and see how many Mondays would be impacted with
Great.
holidays. And if we wanted to shift that to a Tuesday, or what we wanted to do to accommodate
I
that.
would say generally Tuesdays or Wednesdays are when I'm headed to Augusta, so those would
Okay.
not work. I leave early for those.
Well, we'll have an order of magnitude of how many there are anyway,
Great.
that would be impacted.
So, if I could interject something. If you keep it every week, and you have to skip 5 Mondays, it's no big deal, because that's your every other week anyway, okay? Because if you're thinking of going to every other week, skipping 5 Mondays in the year isn't gonna be a big deal. Those Mondays, you would have to just, when you get the warrant on a Thursday, you would have to make exceptions and sign that without going through if you wish. And the agenda part, one of the problems with the finance is it's been everything except finance since I've been here. So I don't have a problem with tightening the agenda. But I believe it should be every Monday, or every, whatever day you decide. Now, 6 months from now, after the new members have gone through this, and you guys want to revisit that, I don't see that that's a big problem. But I don't think it's fair to brand-new people to, I'm not in favor of it anyway, but I'm definitely not in favor of it when you have 2 brand-new people. I don't think that's fair.
Anything else on that issue? We've made some decisions and some are percolating.
Yeah, thank you for the discussion, and we'll make those changes and reevaluate in a period of time.
Maybe in the new year.
I
Yeah.
think that would be a great plan for us, because there's a bunch in there, bunch of stuff in finance. You really gotta look at some of the stuff a little more in depth and ask a bunch of questions, so.
So for clarity, if I'm understanding this correctly, the finance meetings are Monday at 8 o'clock every week until further notice. The agenda is gonna get tightened. And.
There's going to be a warrant, physical.
Right, every week.
Yeah.
Visual here, so those, the only thing not decided
The
is,
frequency.
and I would move to reassess that after you have a little chance for these people to get acclimated to the process. And if that is revisited, I would think the first of our financial year, July 1st, would be a time, if you do decide to switch to every other week, that would be a good time to do it, if there's support for it.
Tabby, you have any other thoughts?
It's hard for me to speak on a, not a finance person. I do my own books, but that's the extent for my business, and.
It all starts with QuickBooks.
Yeah, so I do feel like the more time I could spend understanding Ellsworth's finance, the better for me, but I'm also, if I find that, you know, when I do have some time and I feel like maybe I feel more comfortable going to 2 days a week, I will certainly express that at that time. So, thanks, guys. Sorry to
No,
keep you.
this is what we're used to,
I
so
s-
it's not,
okay,
it's
good.
not a change really for us.
I do appreciate trying to be efficient with your time and everything, and I know meetings can really eat on that, so.
And I think, while all 3 of those changes, or the agenda and changing the schedule, I think would yield some efficiencies, I think that just the agenda will as well.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
so I don't think, I think that will help a lot.
Ready to move to the next?
I just want to add,
I do want to figure something out. I do want to just mention really quick, just for all the members on the committee right now, the warrant will currently still be emailed out on Thursdays. I just want to clarify that my time is not bound to the Monday through Thursday City Hall hours. Now, some of my staff may not check their emails Thursday night through Monday morning, but I do. So I would highly recommend, if you do have questions when it comes to the warrant, please reach out to myself, because I will probably answer your question. Now, obviously, there's I could be out of town, but like, for the most case, I'm gonna be available and able to answer your email probably within 12 hours. And most of you that regularly email me, I usually like to get back to people really quickly. So please reach out to me if you have questions, because I think that that will make the Monday, if the warrant is physically in front of you, a lot easier to come through if you've already gone through it and already had questions asked to me. So I just want to clarify that, even though, yes, City Hall closes at 6 o'clock on Thursday night, that doesn't mean that I don't check my emails or respond for any questions that may come up. So I just want to clarify that.
And I'm gonna mimic Nate, so I'm the same way. And I have work email on my phone, I check it at home. So if you email Nate and CC me, either him or I will respond. If you do email the AP email address, they will not respond. That's only during City Hall hours, it's not, they don't have access to that. And then Deb and Leah as well, if you email them separately, they don't have access at home yet either. So Nate and I do have that capability. But I do want to add that we do have a 9 a.m. hard cutoff for this meeting this morning. There's a BMV training in here later.
All right, thank you.
One more subject matter on that deal. If you have, I like to look at the warrant on Thursdays. If we come in Monday morning, we can thumb through that invoice to see what it says and so on. Not seeing the invoice doesn't give you the whole picture. And we've talked about efficiencies at City Hall, but we haven't talked about all of us having jobs. You're just assuming that we have all of this time. And we all have jobs to do as well, so having this dedicated time and schedule works better for those of us that have outside jobs. Don't forget that. Just because you people are getting paid to be here all day doesn't mean we don't leave here and have to go to work. So you're playing with our work schedules when you start accommodating your work schedules. Now, I'm not saying it has to be unbalanced, but don't forget, we all have jobs.
Steve, I'm confused. What does that relate to? To him saying that you could reach out on the weekends?
If that warrant is right there, we don't have to reach out to anybody. We can come in here, we know what we're looking for, bang, we can ask the question. We're not emailing back and forth and getting an answer but not seeing the invoice. That's what it relates to.
And that, we respect your process. There are other people that have different processes, so I think staff is just saying, whenever you have a question, day or night, we're available. So
Yeah,
we leave
that's
our
right.
job here, and we don't leave it here. We also go home and take it with us and are available.
So I'm going to ask us to keep moving. We're at 8:30, and there's some really good spreadsheets. If that's all right with everybody, let's roll to, Sarah, did you have anything else?
I have
Nate?
nothing else. Nope, thank you.
Thank you. Nate? Thriving
I'm gonna pull it
Thursday.
up on this- I'm gonna pull it up on the screen here, and I know you have it in front of you probably as well. I don't know how it looks on the screen, but I'm gonna pull that up. Let's go right about there.
Looks like
So-
tiny columns of numbers. But we have it in front of us.
That's why hopefully you have the papers in front of you.
Yeah.
And I'll try to be quick, but also, I know we have new members on the committee, and I want to just clarify these reports. I know Nancy reached out to me this morning, and I think the goal of this is kind of just to kind of go over these reports that you're seeing. So let me kind of go with you here. First of all, right now I'm looking at the FY '26 budget versus actual. This is going to be through October 31st. You'll see the columns, account numbers, titles. That third column is going to be what it was last year from July through October, so July through October 2025. Then you have the current, and then what we had budgeted numbers, the difference, and then where it says the percent of budget. And since we're looking from July through October, that's why you see we're 33.33% of the way through the current fiscal year. So the highlighted green fields, those are going to be all your revenues on this report. If you look at the very first page all these account numbers are 10,000,000, which means these are just miscellaneous revenues that are on our financial reports. These don't tie to any departments, they are miscellaneous categories. The very top two ones are added because that shows what taxes have been received, both property and personal property. So that shows where we're at. If you look at the very middle column, there are 13.8 is what the actual, and what our budgeted was 27. So we've already received just over half of those taxes for the current fiscal year. And then the one right below it is 376, budgeted 575, puts us at 65.38% of our goal for the year. So I'm gonna just keep kind of moving along. Now, if you look at page 2, you'll start seeing it broken up by departments. And I tried to make this as clean as possible. We have a lot of accounts. Try not to make it super lengthy, but when you have a lot of departments, which comes with a lot of accounts, you get the 26 pages in front of you. So each department, you have legislative, city manager, I won't keep going, but you see that department breakdown. If it's not highlighted in green, it's an expense account. You can tell by that very first number. You see, let's just look at the legislative 10.
Excuse me,
100,
excuse me just a
5.
moment, excuse me just a moment. What you're calling green, I think we see in yellow.
I see green.
Yeah, well,
It's
it's,
funny.
yeah, it's kind
Okay.
of like a yellow-green,
Okay,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I'm blind, I don't know, but I
No,
just
no,
wanted to.
mine-
No,
It might
Okay.
be
It's a-
Hughes or
it's a-
Lime. I'm not sure which.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Very
I,
green to me.
okay, very well.
Very green to me.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Teal,
But I
it's
just
teal.
want to clarify for the account numbers, so I'm just looking at the top of page 2, but you can look at wherever. So if you see the 10, 100, if you see that 5 points out that that's an expense account. It's not highlighted green or yellow, whatever color you choose. It's just a standard expense account. And that kind of shows where we're at. Now, if you scroll, well, it's not scroll, I'm scrolling, you're flipping. But if you look at page 3, you'll see, for instance, the city clerk category. They have some revenue accounts. So, for instance, dog fees, city clerk fees, those have the 10,124. 4 indicates that's a revenue account. I also highlighted it for you, but anything with a 4 at the front, that's going to be our revenue accounts. Anything with a 5, like I mentioned before, is our expense accounts. So when you look at city clerk, you'll see the 4 revenue accounts as well as the expense accounts. Now that total number, if you look at the 64,000, that includes the revenue. I think Mr. Raymond brought it up yesterday. It's not ideal. That's the way the system works. If I have the time, I can maybe break it up so you don't see the revenue mixed in with the expenses. But that shows the total revenue and expenses, and this shows the total revenue expenses budgeted. So 64,000 for city clerk is the actual. What was budgeted was 203. So that means that they are 31.44% through their budget right now, which if we're 33.33% through the year, they're basically right on track. I'm not going to spend a lot more time on this unless there's any specific questions. I wanted you guys to, especially the new members, when you see these reports, hopefully they come across a little bit more clearer to you. Like I said, I know there's a lot of numbers on one page, especially if you're not maybe the most finance savvy person. Sometimes you can see all those numbers and it can be a little, you get a little awestruck, but that's just kind of explains how the reports that are presented every month are broken down. If we're okay, I'd like to jump to the expense report.
Nate, before we
think-
jump, I want to make sure I understand what you said. At the end of each office, the city total manager, or, well, let's look at city clerk. You're saying that the totals at the bottom are a sum of revenue and expenses, all positive, so it really doesn't
That's-
mean anything.
That's correct. It does show
Okay.
the sum of the revenue
But
and a
not the
sum of
nu-
expenses on both, yes, the
Right, but it's
budgeted
not
number and
the
the
net.
actual number.
But that, like,
So, the expense report that I'm about to jump to,
Okay.
that was actually created because, Councilor Halloran was wanting to see more of a breakdown of the expenses.
Great.
Which kind of paints a better picture, so you can see, where the expenses are tracking in each category. So, if you have that total expenses by department report in front of you, which I have on the screen right now, I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. You can see I broke down each department, legislative, so on and so forth. These numbers, so let's just look at, the legislative numbers. They've actually spent, this is just their expenses, they expense $1,100. Their budget expense is $31,000, so that's a $30,000 difference and 3.55%. Now, going back to we're a third of the way through the year, so we're 33% through the year. I highlighted everything green that's below that 33.3%, and anything in yellow, I don't know what color you have, I'm just gonna say yellow.
this is closer, yeah,
That's-
yellow and green.
My printer printed it out right.
So if you, you see the yellows, that's more of a, it doesn't mean that we need to, throw caution to the wind. What that means is like, okay, what's causing, so like finance is 40%, tax office is 46%. Like I said, these are just expenses. Joint office, 71%. I can tell you postage was high if you look at the actual report. Postage for the year is high. Employee benefits, just over that 33%. Public fire protection. We're technically right on track because we have 4 payments. So we've already done 2, but it looks like it's showing right below 50%. So that shows up as a yellow. So that's how the breakdown shows on this expense report. And if you scroll down, or if you flip to the very back page, you can see our expenses are at 33.17%, which is just below the 33.33 that we are tracking towards. So, like I said, wanted you guys to have a clear picture of the reports that will be sent out each month. Just so you know, and just to go back, just like I said with the warrant, if you ever have any questions, anything financial related, whether it's after this meeting, it could be 2 weeks from now, please reach out to myself. You can copy Ashley. Like, love to answer any questions. I know Mr. Raymond's in the room right now. I always enjoy his feedback. He caught something that I missed. And just so you know, Mr. Raymond, I did fix that on the report. I don't know if you printed the new one or grabbed one, but I did fix that. I appreciate that. The reason why we have these meetings is for transparency and to, make sure obviously everything's tracking the way it's supposed to be. If anyone has any questions now, I'll take them, like I said, but if you don't have anything now, but have something an hour from now, please email me, call me. Love to answer any questions.
Nate, I would just add one of the realities of our budget and looking at year-to-date is it's just the budget divided by 12 months. And we know that things come, ebb and flow differently. So, again, when I do this with my own organizational budget, I look for, is this a trend of something we're seeing that's gonna have implications, or is it just a matter of timing within the year? So when you're looking at any of these, I would ask, are there any things that you're seeing as trends that will have implications over the course of the year versus just it's the timing on when expenses come up or when
Yeah,
revenue comes in?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's some things like I pointed out the joint office. Like I know postage was very high this year. We just sent out, tax bills and stuff like that. I know that we're not gonna have a huge chunk like we did with tax bills, but I do know that, already being close to that, 100% has me concerned. But to go back on the flip side, if you look at, I'll just say social services, which I can pull up here, like social services at 71%, and you're like, yikes. But if you look, those are requests from outside outside agencies that we've already paid. We're not going to have any more
Okay.
invoices come in, except for obviously that little bit. So sometimes those stuff will look bad, but it's like, well, that's just the timing of when it hit. Fire, fire department, it looks like their payroll is higher than I'd like. I don't know how that's going to trend. It's something I'll have to discuss with Scott, the fire chief, to see why that's where it's at. But that's one of the payrolls I've noticed that was definitely higher than the budgeted right now. No other areas that I saw were of major concern as of right now.
And looking at, you mentioned social services, I looked at general assistance. And I was afraid of what I was gonna find, but it's 24%, 25% to the good. But again, we haven't hit cold weather yet, so.
Yes, exactly.
At least right now, we're
Exactly.
holding steady with a little bit in the budget holding for when people are cold and hungry versus maybe just hungry at some times of the year, to put it.
Yeah, and with the fiscal year starting July 1, you'll see stuff like the harbor. Obviously, the harbor's a little bit higher because a lot of those expenses are in July through October. And now we're not gonna have a lot of harbor expenses up until, April and May. So that's, you'll see that percentage high, but that's just, like you said, the timing of
Great.
things.
Yeah, so whenever we do these, if you could highlight trends that are of concern versus just timing, it's helpful for
Absolutely.
us.
Another point to Nancy's, I think the best example is the county tax. Here we are in November, and we've spent 100%, but that's because there's one payment per year.
There's one, yep,
Right, and that's the best example I can see here, that it's expended one time a year, it's gonna max out at 100%, you're not gonna make another payment until next fiscal year. The next thing I'd like to share with Tabitha and Patrick is, when I first got here 4 years ago, we met at a white table. There was no audio, no video. There was none of this. This all came from these people.
Yeah.
There was a warrant and a bunch of invoices. There was no organization. There was none of this to look at. And this has all come from these two people and the rest of the department. And I think that your experience will be far better than the one I started with, because I was lost, like I'm sure you're lost, the first few meetings, and I'm like, this is really a finance meeting? There was nothing.
And they don't get mad at you when you ask questions, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely
That was my experience
nothing.
early on.
And
I-
now, this is awesome, and this expense report tells
How
us.
far back you wanna go?
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to say, as someone that doesn't,
Yeah.
these two, this budget versus actual and this total expense sheet is incredible.
Yes.
I
This
I
is
have a
new.
really great understanding of what's going on day one,
Yeah.
30, 45 minutes in. So thank you for simplifying this, and it sounds like it took a long
Oh.
time to get to this point. So
Having
as somebody that,
Actuals is.
yeah, this is great. I'm really excited to dive into this, and so thank you guys.
Cool.
If I may.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Patrick.
I liked it. I got it emailed to me and I looked at it, but you're probably gonna see me have paper copies because it's the old age and trifocals here, but, but I like it. I like it. Because then again, I was kind of questioning this, the budget versus actual. I'm going, highlighted there, was that a problem? But I should have reached out to you, but I waited until today.
No, I
No.
emailed him at 6:30 and he responded at 6:35.
In the other municipality I was in, we made the town manager come to the Parks and Rec and he just come in and, there you go. I don't need to answer to you guys. We had to get the selectmen to make him answer to us, So, yeah.
No,
He wasn't user-friendly, like you guys are.
Very much so.
That's nice.
Cool. Anything else on these? There's one more.
Yep, we got one more, yep.
Yeah, I do have copies, in front of you of just our reserve accounts. Just to show where the city is at, we have reserve accounts at Bar Harbor. If you look at the far left column, you can see we have it broken down by the fund names. These were created, most of these were established a long time ago. But just, this is more just for informational purposes. We get these every month. I'll try to send these out to you guys every month so you can see, where we sit. Obviously, that shows the gains and losses and fees and everything on there, change in fair market value. This is not really anything I wanted to necessarily discuss, but more just kind of have in front of you. So you're aware, like I said, I'll get these every month. I can send them your way. If you have any questions, obviously, please bring them up to me. But the one is just the general reserve accounts, and then we also have, showing on screen is the cemetery funds. Same thing at Bar Harbor, we have cemetery trust funds, there's fund accounts set up at Bar Harbor. So just more for, so you're, like I said, kind of keep you guys in the loop for those that may, want to deep dive more into it. That gives you some more reading material.
And can I look at Sarah because she's in the room knowing that you can hear me, but one of the, as we've gotten the budget and the actuals and we actually have numbers to work with now, one of the unknowns has been what's in the Great Big General checking account that really belongs in a reserve account because it's earmarked for a specific purpose, and that's been a huge amount of work. This is what we're seeing now, is being able to clarify those funds that have a specific purpose designated by the city or by those who raise the funds, correct?
Yeah, I think I know what you're asking, but like those accounts at Bar Harbor, like those are solid counts. So if there's anything that, for instance, if there anything needs to be done at Knowlton Park or something that we can pull from these reserve accounts, obviously with council's blessing, but all those are set up for that specific purpose, and those are actual numbers from Bar Harbor. Those aren't guesses. Those are real-time numbers as of October 31st.
Right. And I'll just note, as the council representative to the cemetery commission, being able to get numbers for the different cemetery funds has been a work in progress for quite some time, and very happy to see that we've got that separated out, and Nate has already forwarded that at my request to the cemetery commission that has a meeting tonight. So they're beginning to start to look at what they've got for funds, and then can start looking at the work that needs to be done in various cemeteries. So thank you for diving into that as well.
Yeah, not a problem. I know we only have a few minutes left until the training at 9. Is there any other questions for me?
I have one question, if I may. Monday night, there was an approval to return Mr. Karst equity plus interest, and I was told that would be on the warrant this week. Is that the case?
Yes.
Thank you very
In
much.
this case, that check will be produced on Monday morning and hand-delivered by Charlie on Monday afternoon.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right, anything else from the members, from staff, and we'll go see if there's public comment. All right, is there public comment this morning related to Finance Committee? Go ahead.
Morning, Jared, resident. I was just looking at the budgets versus actuals, and on the solar credit, the July to October 25 actuals, and the July to October 26 actuals, and looking across, and I didn't know if that was a mistake on putting in the numbers, or if that was the actuals on that.
when it comes to the solar credits, I think it's just the timing, Jared. I think that's supposed to be coming in either late November or December.
Okay.
So,
And then the other portion that I wasn't able to kind of find through here was where the ERKI would be, and as far as like the space rentals and whatnot for income and profit and losses for that place.
yeah, I don't think I have a section set up for ERKI on there, but I do. If you'd like to see that, I can produce that for next month.
Yeah, no, that'd be great, because I wasn't sure if that'd be considered as like rentals, like, because we have like the Moore and stuff like that. I just didn't know if
Yeah.
that would fall under that category or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna make myself a note, and I'll try to include a little ERKI section next time.
Awesome.
And I think with the P and L broader about the other uses of that building, I understand is the city uses some of the offices, some of the space. So a good
Yes.
context for the current use of ERKI space in that way. Cool.
No, I agree. That's a good point, Jared. I'll make sure to include that next month.
Awesome. Well, thank you. You guys have a great weekend.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And happy Thanksgiving next week.
Yes, sir.
Are you hiding in your bunker so ice doesn't get you?
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning.
Hi, Gary Fortier. Some of you don't know, but I was at these finance committee meetings for over 1,200 Friday mornings in my time on city council. 1,200, so 7:15 Friday morning, this is where we were. And I ran my own business. As Mr. O'Halloran has said, we all have jobs. I'd like to talk about the future. There were a couple things the other night at the meeting. You started talking budget. I've taken care of the SK Whiting Park clock since it was installed. I had a date with Mr. Erlenbach Monday after the time changed to show him how to reset the clock. He got tied up in Washington Street putting trees in the ground, which is a great project. So I did it myself, and I'll show him in the spring. But I basically got kicked out of the inner sanctum in here behind the glass as I was trying to explain to the administrative assistant, if you get calls about the clock being off, it's waiting for the time to catch up. It's all computerized. So that's not a problem. But the clock needs to be serviced this year. So, Madam Deputy Manager,
Just Sarah.
it needs to be serviced. There are wafers in the works that swell up and slow things down. So it needs to be serviced, needs a new battery, which I've provided for the last 20 years of whenever it got in there. So that needs to be done. And that's where I leave it. And the reports that I've got, I'm gonna study them this weekend. That's what we always had. We always had the line by line, every Friday morning. You could go through it and see that the police department payroll, instead of being 33 1/3%, which you are now, was only at 26. But then you look at the overtime and it was way up here. So in order to manage this city, which audit-wise, you guys have been pretty, not you guys, don't take this personally.
Thank you for that distinction.
Previous
Yeah,
administrations have lacked exposure to. But I agree with Council O'Halloran that we used to sit out here and we'd go through every paper invoice. And there wasn't a Friday that we didn't find, oh, they taxed us on this. Guess what? We don't pay tax. So send it back and it'll be on next week's warrant. So in order to do your job and do your job right, you need the product. And that's all I'll say. I am getting ready to go to Washington State to play with my only granddaughter for the first time,
awesome.
and my wife doesn't think I'm coming home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service and thanks for running.
Thank you for your service,
Thank you for
Gary,
that.
and all the
Thank you for your
volunteer
service.
work you continue to do. It's awesome.
And thank you for the clock. I
Yeah.
sit in that park on occasion, and the clock is part of the enjoyment of being there, watching the world go by and keeping track of time. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Anything else as we prepare to wrap up? All right, so our next meeting, to be clear, will be Monday, December 1st at 8 a.m.
We're gonna battle over Arbor Commission and, I guess, reach out to me about switching, room switcheroos or whatever, and I'll,
Or if they can start at 9:10 or something. Okay, that's not an option. We are rigid in some things, so.
I'll talk, but, yeah,
all.
let's,
Just
you and I talk
time and
about that.
space,
Okay.
that's all.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you for giving me.
You're welcome. I did not realize
Thank
that.
you.
I like mixing it up.
I like